Welcome back, Deep Divers. Today, we're going to cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of modern B2B sales.
That's right.
Our deep dive is into Predictable Revenue, a sales machine blueprint by Aaron Ross and Marylou Tyler. No, this isn't just, another sales book.
Not at all.
It's basically the framework that helps Salesforce add, an incredible $100 million in recurring revenue. It really shifted things for a lot of people.
It really did.
So if you've ever wondered how to move from just hoping for sales to actually, engineering them, this deep dive is your shortcut to understanding a pretty fundamental shift.
Precisely. And, when this book came out back in 2011, it really threw down a challenge to the way things were typically done then.
Right.
The old model, well, it often had one salesperson trying to juggle everything, from finding the lead to closing the deal, sometimes even account management afterwards.
Kind of a one-person band situation?
Exactly. Predictable Revenue proposed something quite different, much more specialized. And, it quickly became foundational, especially for SaaS and the B2B companies looking to scale up consistently.
Okay.
So our mission today is really to pull out the core ideas, the nuggets, that can help you understand how to make your own sales efforts more predictable, more scalable.
Okay, let's unpack that then. Before we get to the solutions, we probably need to understand the problem a bit better. What exactly was this old model that the book argues against? Like, what did it look like day to day?
Well, historically, you had this idea of the salesperson as a generalist, right? A sort of hunter-gatherer figure. They were literally responsible for the whole chain. Prospecting, cold outreach, building that initial connection, pitching, handling objections, negotiating, closing, and sometimes, managing the account too.
Wow, that's a lot for one person.
It is. Imagine trying to be truly excellent at all those very different things all at once.
Right.
It just meant reps were spread incredibly thin. They were constantly switching gears, 1 minute cold calling, the next crafting a detailed proposal, maybe then putting out a fire with an existing customer. It just, it drained focus.
I can see that.
And the result was, honestly, they rarely did any single part of that job exceptionally well. The core problem was inefficiency. It basically put a ceiling on how much you could really grow predictably.
So this sort of super salesperson ideal, the one who could juggle everything, it was actually holding companies back.
In many ways, yes. By trying to master everything, they sort of mastered nothing, especially when it comes to scaling. The skill sets are just too different.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So if that model was broken or at least inefficient for growth, what's the fix, according to Ross and Tyler? How do you build this sales machine?
The absolute core idea, the biggest takeaway really, is specialization. Simple as that.
Specialization.
Instead of one person doing it all, you divide the sales process into distinct, focused roles, like an assembly line, but for winning customers. The book initially outlined 3 main roles, but it's generally understood now as 4 key functions working together, each one optimized for its specific task.
Okay. Break those down for us. What are the roles?
Sure. First up, you have the market response representative, or MRR. Their job is all about handling inbound leads.
So people already coming to you.
Exactly. Someone visits the website, downloads a white paper, fills out a contact form. They've shown interest. The MRRs are like the rapid response team. Their job is to qualify these warm leads fast.
Okay, so they're capturing and qualifying existing interest. Makes sense. They're not out there hunting then.
Not primarily, no. That's the next role. The outbound sales development representative, or SDR, sometimes called BDRs, business development reps.
Right.
Their role is pure prospecting. They're proactively identifying potential new customers who fit the ideal profile, reaching out and trying to set up meetings. But crucially, they don't close deals. Their goal is to generate qualified meetings for the next stage.
Ah, okay. So MRRs handle the incoming, SDRs go out and find new opportunities. That division alone seems like it would create a lot more focus.
It really does. It separates the nurturing of warm leads from the often tougher job of proactive outreach.
So what happens when an SDR successfully gets someone interested and qualified? Who takes it from there?
That's where role number 3 comes in. The account executive, or AE. These are your closers.
Ah, the classic sales role, sort of.
Kind of, but much more focused. They take the qualified meetings set by the SDRs, or the qualified leads passed over by the MRRs. Their entire job is discovery, demonstrating value, handling negotiations, and closing the business.
So they don't have to do the initial prospecting or cold outreach.
Exactly. That's the key. It frees them up entirely to focus on what they theoretically do best. turning qualified opportunities into actual revenue. It makes them way more efficient.
I can definitely see the appeal there. Less time spent on finding needles in haystacks, more time actually selling. Okay, so that's 3 roles. What about after the deal is signed? Is there a specialized role there too?
Absolutely. And this is vital for predictable recurring revenue,
Yeah.
which is huge now, right? Especially in SaaS. This is the Customer Success Manager, or CSM.
Okay.
Customer success, their job really starts after the sale. They focus on onboarding, making sure the customer actually uses and gets value from the product, driving retention, finding opportunities for upsells or cross-sells, basically ensuring the customer relationship remains healthy and grows over time. The book really stresses that growth doesn't end at the signature. Nurturing those existing customers is critical for predictability and, well, more revenue down the line. Plus, happy customers become advocates, right?
Which feeds back into the funnel for the MRRs and SDRs. It's a cycle.
Precisely. It's a whole life cycle approach.
Okay, so specialization is the heart of it. MRRs for inbound, SDRs for outbound prospecting, AEs for closing, CSMs for retention and growth. It feels so logical when you lay it out. It directly addresses that quote you mentioned. Your salespeople should spend their time selling, not prospecting. Imagine the clarity if everyone on your team, listener, had such a defined role. But doesn't this create potential silos, like SDRs just throwing leads over the wall without context? How do you keep it integrated?
That's a really good point, and it's definitely a risk if you don't manage it properly. The book emphasizes that while the roles are specialized, the process needs to be seamless, integrated.
How do you do that?
Well, things like a shared CRM system are obviously crucial. Clear definitions of what a qualified lead actually means, service-level agreements, or SLAs, between the teams, like how quickly does an MRR need to respond, or what information does an SDR need to provide when booking a meeting for an AE.
Okay, so clear rules of engagement.
Right, and regular communication. Cross-functional meetings, shared goals, maybe even shared compensation elements tied to overall revenue, not just individual stage metrics. It's about being specialist within a unified team structure.
Makes sense. Okay, we have the specialized team structure. Now let's dig into the outbound part more. You mentioned SDRs. The book famously says cold calling is dead. Cold calling 2.0 is alive and well. What on earth does that mean? Because cold calling still has a pretty bad rap.
Yeah, it definitely does. What Ross means is that the traditional untargeted dial-for-dollars approach, just picking up the phone and calling strangers hoping for a lucky hit that's largely dead. It's inefficient, often annoying for the recipient, and just doesn't scale well in B2B today.
Okay, so that's the dead part. What's cold calling 2.0 then?
Cold calling 2.0 is a much more strategic email-first approach. SDRs don't just randomly call people. Instead, they send very targeted, often personalized short emails to specific decision-makers within companies that fit their ideal customer profile.
Email first, not phone first. Interesting.
Right. And the immediate goal isn't to sell anything or even necessarily get a long meeting right away. The goal is much smaller. It's to start a conversation, to get a response, maybe get referred to the right person, to book a warm conversation for the AE down the line.
A warm conversation. Okay. That feels different, less pressure. But how do you get someone to actually reply to a cold email? Most of us just delete them, right?
That's where the clever part comes in, particularly the referral email strategy.
Tell me about that.
Instead of emailing a potential decision maker and saying, hey, can we have 15 minutes to talk about my product? Which often triggers the delete reflex.
Yeah, definitely.
You send a very short, simple email asking for help. The classic template is something like, hi name, could you point me in the right direction? I'm trying to find the person responsible for solving problem X at company name.
Oh, interesting. You're not asking for their time, you're asking for information.
Exactly. Or asking, who is the best person to talk to about X? It's a much lower commitment ask. People are often more willing to offer a quick pointer or referral than to commit to a sales call. It leverages a bit of psychology. People generally like to be helpful, or at least direct traffic. And it dramatically increases response rates because it feels less like a direct sales pitch and more like a request for assistance. You often get routed directly to the right person.
That is pretty smart. It gets your foot in the door without being aggressive. It turns a cold outreach into potentially a warm referral. I like that.
Yeah, it's surprisingly effective.
Okay, so let's say the SDR sends that referral email and they get a response. Maybe they get pointed to the right person, or the original contact says, actually, that's me. What's the SDR's next step? They still need to qualify, right?
Absolutely. Getting the response is just the first step.
Yeah.
Now, the SDR engages, often still via email initially, maybe transitioning into a brief call. Their job now is to qualify that lead, Do they have the budget? Is this person the actual decision maker or involved in the decision? Is there a real need for the solution? What's their timeline? The standard qualification criteria like BANT or MEDIC.
Right, checking the boxes.
Essentially, yes. They ask good questions, listen for pain points, understand the context. If the lead looks like a genuine qualified opportunity based on those predefined criteria, then the SDR's final move is to book that formal meeting or demo directly onto an account executive's calendar.
Got it. So the AE only gets involved once the lead is warmed up and properly vetted by the SDR.
Precisely. The AE's time is protected for high probability opportunities.
This whole system specialization, cold calling 2.0, it sounds incredibly methodical. So you've got the roles, you've got the outreach strategy. How do you make the whole thing predictable? How do you move from we hope we hit our number to we expect to hit our number? That's the predictable pipeline formula, isn't it?
That's exactly it. The whole philosophy hinges on this. Predictable revenue flows directly from a predictable pipeline. It's about moving sales away from being an art form reliant on individual heroics towards being more of a science, a managed process.
Okay, how does that formula work in practice? Is it complicated?
The concept is actually pretty straightforward, though implementing it requires discipline. It's all about metrics. You track everything meticulously through the funnel.
Like what specifically?
Well, you start with your inputs. For SDRs, maybe it's the number of targeted emails sent per week or month. Then you track the conversion rate at every single step.
Yeah.
How many of those emails get opened? How many get a reply?
Okay.
Of those replies, how many turn into actual conversations or initial calls? How many of those conversations lead to a qualified opportunity being created for AE?
Right.
And then, critically, what's the AE's close rate on those qualified opportunities? How many actually become deals?
So you're measuring the flow and the leakage at each stage.
Precisely. Once you know those conversion rates, say you need to send 100 emails to get 5 qualified opportunities, and AEs close 1 out of 5 of those, you can work backwards. If you need 10 deals this quarter, you know exactly how many emails your SDRs need to be sending, assuming the rates hold steady.
Yeah, I see. It becomes maths.
It becomes maths. It allows you to forecast much more accurately. And if you're not hitting your numbers, you know where in the funnel the problem is. Are SDRs not sending enough emails? Is the reply rate low? Are AEs struggling to close qualified ops? You can diagnose and fix the specific bottleneck.
That takes so much guesswork out of it. It really makes it a system you can manage and tune. For you listening, can you see how powerful that is? It's not just hoping, it's engineering the outcome based on data. Are there common pitfalls here, though, like metrics companies often miss?
Oh, definitely. A big one is focusing only on quantity of activity, not quality. An SDR might hit their meetings book target, but if those leads aren't actually well qualified, the AE close rate plummets and the whole system breaks down. So you need quality checks.
Right, not just activity for activity's sake.
Exactly. Another is not tracking velocity. How long does it take for a deal to move from one stage to the next? If deals get stuck somewhere, that's a problem. And sometimes companies don't rigorously track the source of deals effectively, so they don't truly know which channels, inbound or outbound, are yielding the best results. Without that granularity, you're kind of flying blind.
Okay, so we tie it all together. You specialize the roles, you use cold calling 2.0 for smart outbound, and you manage it all with a metrics-driven pipeline. That's the predictable revenue machine.
That's the core of it, yes. And then you layer on other critical things. Clear accountability for those metrics for each role, scalable systems and tools to support the process, and importantly, a culture of continuous iteration. You have to keep refining your messaging, your targeting, your process based on what the data tells you.
And how does this fit with, say, traditional marketing efforts? Does outbound replace inbound?
Not at all. That's a key point in the book. They need to work together. Inbound marketing content, SEO, ads is great for filling the top of the funnel with people already showing some interest. Outbound, the cold calling 2.0 approach, gives you control to target specific accounts you really want, even if they haven't found you yet. The quote they use is perfect.
Yeah.
Inbound fills the funnel, outbound creates control. You need both.
Inbound fills, outbound controls. I like that. It paints a clear picture of synergy. Okay, this sounds like a major operational shift. What does it mean for the company culture, for leadership? It can't just be about changing processes, can it?
No, absolutely not. It's a significant cultural shift, too. First off, you need unwavering buy-in from the top. Leadership has to champion this data-driven, process-oriented approach. Otherwise, you'll get resistance, especially maybe from older school salespeople used to doing everything themselves.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
And it requires much tighter alignment across departments. Sales, marketing, customer success, they can't operate in silos anymore. They need shared definitions, shared goals around the customer journey, constant communication. It's one revenue team, really.
One engine.
Exactly. For leaders, it means managing by metrics, coaching the process, not just cheering for the big heroic closes. And when hiring, you start looking less for just charisma, the born salesperson, and more for things like discipline, persistence, coachability, and whether someone is comfortable working within a defined process and using data.
So building the team to fit the machine, not just hoping individuals figure it out.
Right. It's about building a system that scales and finding people who thrive in that system and want to optimize their part of it.
Wow, okay. This has been a fantastic deep dive into making revenue predictable. Let's try and crystallize the key takeaways for everyone listening.
Sounds good.
First, and maybe the biggest shift, don't make your salespeople jacks of all trades. Specialize those roles, MRRs for inbound, SDRs for outbound prospecting, AEs for closing, CSMs for success. It drives focus and efficiency.
Crucial.
Second, ditch old school cold calling. Embrace cold calling 2.0, short, targeted, referral-seeking emails to start warm conversations, not blast generic pitches.
Much more effective today.
Third, build that metrics-driven pipeline. Track conversions at every single stage meticulously. Use that data to forecast accurately and diagnose problems. Predictable pipeline equals predictable revenue.
Absolutely fundamental.
And finally, this isn't just a sales thing. Align marketing, sales, and customer success. They need to work as one cohesive unit across the entire customer lifecycle for sustained growth.
Couldn't agree more. And maybe one unifying thought.
Mm-hmm.
Predictable sales comes from process and discipline, much more than just personality or hoping for lucky breaks. It's about engineering success through a well-designed, well-managed system.
System over individual heroic.
Pretty much. And that requires alignment right across the board, from first touch to long-term customer value.
Fantastic. Okay, so as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. Think beyond just sales for a moment. Where else in your work, or maybe even your personal life, are you acting like a jack of all trades?
Interesting question.
Could applying some of these principles, specialization-focused effort, maybe even tracking your progress more like a funnel, lead to more predictable, better results in other areas? Where could a more systematic approach make a difference for you?
Something to definitely think about.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into predictable revenue. We really hope these insights help you think about how to engineer more predictability into your own world.
Thanks for listening.